Just a minute, just kidding. It is Thursday. That means it's AMA day. We will not have Fox joining us today as he is traveling and out of town this week, so he could not make it for today's AMA, but you have the rest of us here to answer all of your questions. We are going to start with a short update today, and then we will get going on some of the questions that have been submitted. But first, I wanted to pass it over to Hubert.
Hey guys. Yeah, so let's see. Yesterday we released the new Halloween event. I saw a lot of you guys doing a lot of dark summoning and getting the new gourd that is currently available, but only for this event. That you can just get from doing void hunts. Along with that, we did change the drop rate of Gaia's Tears, and previously we'd mentioned that once we made changes to the reward system, we were going to be doing a backdated rewarding of people for people that won before that were in the previous reward system, and that's still our plan. Just want to let you all know that our plan with that is to airdrop everybody 10 tiers for each win that they received. And a part of this is kind of like the increase of tiers is kind of strategically planned because we are also getting close to having potions no longer be free during the void hunt and having them instead be potions that you create yourself using your ingredients that you get from fishing and foraging and gardening, and when you use them they would be consumed. So we're getting close to being able to do that, and a part of the cost to potions is Gaia's Tears, so we're making sure that as you're doing hunts, you're getting some of the ingredients you might need to replenish your potions, and overall that gets us just closer to really turning the whole game economy into a good cycle, which up until this point, the potion angle has been only really used for creating lesser enhancement stones. So I think that'll be a pretty big change once that happens, and I can't really say exactly when that will happen, but I will say it is one of our top priorities right now as far as like combat engine development goes. So you can look forward to that, and we'll have more announcements about when those airdrops are going to come out. But I'll just repeat again, that'll be 10 Gaia's Tears per win that you got before we made the change. So yeah, look forward to that.
Yes, yes. So for every victory, 10 tears, and you'll need them. Oh, Dreamer, did you want to add something? Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Hubert, for sharing that. I just wanted to share a little bit of the background of how we got to 10. As people know, we have a tokenomics committee that meets every week, and this was a topic yesterday. And there's a lot of work that is kind of looking at the average drop rate currently, and then what the new average will be, and kind of the difference of that was going to be 5, essentially. So I think the plan was it's logical to reward everybody with 5 tiers for the victorious hunts that they've done. And we all kind of as we were like, hey, that feels good, but man, that'd be cool if we just doubled it for everybody, because people are supporting a game in development. It was there were a lot of hunts. I think I don't know what the number is now. I believe with retries we're well over 25,000. And that's just incredible, and we're really grateful for it. So we thought we'd double that kind of differential of old average and new average and hit 10. Hopefully people are happy with that. I think that was meant to be a big fat thank you, and kind of double the logical amount that I think we were settling on. So just wanted to add that, Bolon.
No, for sure. I appreciate that. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Excuse me, having your own potions will be a really cool update for sure. I did lie. There are 2 more updates, but they're both very quick, so I'm going to throw them out there real quick. First and foremost, our very own Dude of Beetle will be joining Mythic Squad tonight for a live stream at 8:30 p.m. Pacific, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune into Mythic Squad there. Go ahead, Beetle.
Just warning everyone. Don't tune in, because I might drop some alpha on accident. So don't do it. Not worth it.
Yeah, I still gotta get my override buzzer set up. Uh, and then aside from that, DAP Radar will be hosting a Twitter space excuse me, next Tuesday, October 31st at 3 p.m. UTC, so 11 a.m. Eastern, and we will be on that as well. So just trying to keep everybody. Oh, and actually, dang it, also next Monday night at what time is it? 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Winston Jazz Hands will be on with Christian Peter. So trying to remember where everybody's gonna be. Dreamer, I saw you unmute. Did you want to add something?
No, sir, I was just rejoining. So I
Gotcha.
fell off the stage.
Thankfully, that hasn't happened at any of our live conferences. You've managed to stay on the stage the whole time, and that's always a good thing. It makes the presentations go smoother. But yeah, I think that's all of our current upcoming speaking engagements, so make sure you keep an eye out and tune in where you are able. All right, so with that, last call, any other updates before I go into questions? Hubert.
Yeah, I realized I forgot one extra little point about that, which is just to mention that we still aren't done making some adjustments to the reward system. There's still one more thing coming that's a little bit of a heavier lift to implement, but I think it will. We kind of alluded to it before in the past as well, that it's the design intent there is to make it feel like you're making more progress as you hunt, rather than being completely beholden to RNG on equipment drops. So that's kind of the intent behind the system. But yeah, we'll have more details as it's closer to being ready to go. And yeah, once that change happens, there will be backdating of rewards from that system as well, kind of in a similar vein. So you can look forward to that as well.
Much appreciated, Hubert. All right, let's hit some questions. Let's see. First one is for Hubert. Thoughts on the reasoning behind having a cooldown to swap equipment when equipment has durability as well?
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of has the same. I guess the durability does kind of add a new variable to the equation, but we have kind of the same thought with pets, where we didn't want it to be where if you have one really good pet, you could just pass it along between all of your heroes and get the benefit for all of them with just the one pet. It's intended to be, you have to gear up each of your heroes to be effective, and we saw that as kind of a same problem with equipment, even if they do have durability and would be degrading faster if you were swapping around like that. It's just not really the type of gameplay we wanted to incentivize. So that's kind of where that logic came from.
Thank you. Let's see. Can we review where the boar hunt, crystal, and gold fee goes? Yes. So gold is burned. Crystal follows standard distribution, so it is 25% burn, 15% jeweler, 30% quest fund, and 30% dev fund. So that is the updated crystal standard distribution that we changed a couple months ago, taking some out of the dev portion and putting it into the burn portion. So that is, I believe, still pinned actually in AMA voiceless chat, but it's also in the docs and everything now as well. And then the gold is just burned. Let's see. Since Beetle Dude's list is getting small, I agree. Got to keep adding to it. Can we make it when you click the all filter option? It actually checks each box individually so that people could uncheck all but have the boxes pre-checked and then just uncheck the ones that they want.
Oh, hi. I have been informed by Zipper, who has been graciously taking my list and making it shorter. Thank you, Zipper. That this might be more of a refactor than it sounds in our current system. So I think it will be put upon the list, but it might depend on what we need to do to make that happen, whether it becomes a priority or not. Because we are also making a ton of cool other things that are hopefully nice quality of life improvements that are helping people out. So yes, put it on the list, but it might be, might be a minute.
Somewhere on the list. Let's see. Great job with boar hunts. Thank you. It was all me. I did the whole thing. Our advanced class skill codex is still being developed parallel to other efforts and is Workhorse still leading on that front.
So yes and yes. It's we do have a lot of different things that we're trying to do right now just to get the core system in place. Like the potions mentioned earlier, and the various other things like the genes on your heroes and other things that we do need to also focus on. So, and Workhorse does help with some of that as well. We are also in the process of updating the 3 classes that do have skills, along with Warrior and everything that's been designed up to this point, to use a different system for chances. Like if something has like a chance to daze, then it says like 50% plus 0.05 times strength. Instead, now it's going to be a different number times a strength score, which is going to be a dynamic value that's similar to the other dynamic formulas we have in the game. So it basically the end result is going to be that if you have a hero with really good stats, it's going to have much more noticeably different chances than someone with really bad stats to like inflict that daze or do things like that. So we're in the process of changing that too. Workhorse is helping with that as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of work to go on. I think the thrust of the question, I mean, there might be times where it's not like the main priority. Like right now, I'd say it's there, it's being thought about, but we're also trying to prioritize these other things first as among the process. So, but yep, we're all working hard and have we're trying real hard to get as much as we can out as quickly as we can. So I hope you all bear with us if it takes a little bit longer to get a class codex out.
Yeah, I appreciate the background and clarity there. And for a second, I thought you were about to drop more alpha on classes after Warrior, so I appreciate that you didn't. Let's see. Thoughts on having the hero's abilities viewable on the hero details page rather than just in the boar hunt?
Yeah, so that is an ultimate goal. Right now, with the boar hunt, we don't have the system in place to be like setting skills on chain yet. And the idea there is that once we do have that in place, there will be it may not be just an easy you can switch your skills all the time kind of setup like it is right now. There may be some other restrictions. Kind of gearing towards once we have PvP and other things in place where you might have a defensive team where it needs to have its skills all set and different things like that, and just various future plans with it. So that is something that's coming. It's probably going to be a little while before it happens, though.
Thank you, thank you. Thoughts on adding hunts to the hamburger menu instead of combat testing grounds? I'm just gonna say not instead of, please. But thoughts on adding it to the hamburger menu?
I think other people have thoughts, but I don't mind it. That and you can scroll forever, so I wouldn't be opposed. I think we also need to get added to the quick launcher, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, there's definitely a couple of areas where we can make it a little bit easier to access for people, and I support that.
Nice. The team has mentioned that future PvE and void hunts are already in the design and concept stage. Are we thinking minimum hero level for upcoming content will be lower, the same, or higher than the current level 10 for boar hunt?
So for at least the next void hunt and probably the one after that, I'm still planning on targeting level 10 as the starting point and having a similar growth approach that we have right now. We'll continue to refine that as we go, but void hunts aren't the only PvE content that we have planned, though. So we are also thinking about what will be like the first iteration of more like easy fights of easier enemies, and how that might work as well. So that's in the works, and once that's in place, it would be kind of designed for like gradual playing, from lower levels up and having kind of content for that. But it'll be iterative as we go as well. So that is something we do want to get out soon, but we have many things we want to get out soon, so it's still probably going to take a little bit before we have it.
Cool. All right. Moving into... Dang it, it moved on me. Please hold for one moment. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Thoughts on, in the future with land utility, having upgradable taverns on lands that would allow heroes that are passing through to stop along the way to recover health, mana, stamina, etc., etc.
Yeah, so that is a cool idea and kind of something that we've been thinking of along those lines for. It's that's still how that exactly would work, or what form that's going to eventually take once we get there is hard to say right now. But with lands, we do want them to be hubs for players to visit and do various things there. So things like a ability to recover is certainly on the list of ideas. So yep.
Very much appreciate that. So let's see, there's a question about an option to just give up a fight. We now have the flee button, so that has been accomplished. Much appreciated for the flee button, by the way. That's a useful add-on. Let's see, now that PvE is live and people can start streaming their battles, Is it possible to set up DFK as a Twitch category so streamers can tag their streams as DFK content when going live? Yes, it is possible, and I actually went to do it, and then I recruited WowE to help because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do it, and it turns out I couldn't do it because WowE had already done it, because WowE is fantastic. So there is a DFK Twitch category already up and running. So if you are a streamer and you do go live on Twitch, use the DFK category if you wouldn't mind. That would be lovely. But yeah, very much appreciate. Shout out to WowE for having already taken care of that for me. Much appreciated. Let's see. Question for Beetle Dude. I use an elderly PC, so I often disable images for RAM's sake. Would it be possible to add alt text to image buttons, for example, those after quest completion?
Yes, indeed. I've added it to my list. Yeah, generally the only empty alt tags should be ones that are decorational only. So if there are some missing, that's good to know, and we'll check it out.
Thank you. Anyway, we can lower the hunt cooldown to like 22 hours or something. Yes, we lowered it to 23. It is done. But yeah, we also, saw the kind of sliding impact of 24 hours. So we made it 23 in order to try to kind of counteract that so that you can be more consistent about the time of day that you can start your hunts. Thoughts on adding a link to the combat testing grounds from the hunt management screen so that players who might be struggling with the boar hunt can kind of be directed to where they can practice?
Indeed. Yeah, so there was that idea, and I think I heard someone had mentioned at one point adding something to the combat testing ground to do the same thing. Like, now that you got really good at fighting blubs, fight these boars. So yeah, I think we can add it to the list to maybe have those be more interrelated and connected via links.
Much appreciated. Let's see. Rewards don't scale with the hero levels in the current Void Hunts, but maybe in the future, the XP reward could be scaled on the scaled monster level without too much economic impact. Hubert, thoughts?
Yeah, I do think that is, previously we've kind of talked about this, and in the initial design, we were going for a similar challenge across the board, and so with that in mind, we thought that the experience reward could stay the same as well. However, I do think that's a good idea, especially since higher level heroes do require more experience to be able to level up. So it's something that we may end up doing, especially kind of in tandem with some of the other changes that are coming. So yeah, well, I guess more to say on that as we get closer, but I do think that's something that we could do.
Nice. Thank you, sir. While we have you, can we have some additional teaser / information on the future of Void Shards, just to understand a bit better whether it makes sense to have more than one on a wallet? Is there a point in accumulating them?
Yes, sorry. Yep. So with the void shards, kind of the plan with how those will work is they will be necessary to attract more nefarious creatures to fight as a part of a void hunt. So in the future, there will be void hunts where, in order to even do it, you would need to use void shards. Is kind of the plan, and then those ones would have a little bit different reward structure tied to them as well, and feel a little bit more consequential, I think, in terms of like what you're fighting. So that's kind of the idea there. Void shards are a means to access more challenging, more rewarding content is the plan. So if you only had one on one wallet, that may or may not be enough to do one fight, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to be one void shard per fight either.
Awesome. Thank you, good sir.
Could I add to that one, Bolin?
Sure.
I think Ogre asked as well, like, what the future of the reward system that Hubert touched on. And although I don't want to like reveal more than already's been revealed, I do think just like the mindset of the game committee is one where if you think about kind of harder fights in MMORPGs, maybe even endgame, a lot of dungeons and things or things that you do as a team that's really hard, like once a day or weeklies or whatever, there's usually really rare drops, and we have those in game now. But then there's usually other things in there that even if you don't hit that really rare drop, still keep you motivated. Like I want to hit that daily to collect A, B, or C. Void shards are there so that as they drop, it is going to unlock things in the future, and to provide that like desire for that grind. But the drop rates still aren't that high. So as we're adding other things there, and systems are being developed, even though we're not sharing the full details now, the mindset of each hunt will have a higher chance of quote unquote being worth it. In addition to the XP, the fun factor, and the chance to hit the big drops, we want to make sure that like more common kind of grind mentality where you still feel like you're working towards something better, even if you don't hit those big drops, is present. So kind of like a medium drop is that void shard, and we're working on kind of the additional grinder's carrot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. And actually, on that topic, Hubert, you talked about the airdrop, but I don't think we actually reviewed the new tier drop schedule, did we?
No, I'm not sure that we did. I mean, it was in the announcement, but yeah. So the average amount of tiers that you were getting before was about 2.3 on average per win, and now it's about 7.4 with the way that the structure's been updated. I don't know. Did we share the actual table? I don't think there's. I don't really have
Not
that much
yet.
of a concern sharing that table. So
Okay, yeah, we can
I
share that then.
I can go grab it and drop it in the chat here.
Nice. Yeah, while he grabs that table, I mean, basically we took the minimum from 1 to 4. The maximum went up. Technically speaking, the maximum went way up. Realistically, the range is now 4 to 20, and then there's a like jackpot roll for 100 tiers. So the maximum realistically 10x'd, but it's more of like a jackpot treatment. But yeah, so your minimum reward will now be the 4 tiers, and then it scales up from there up to 20, and then the jackpot roll. So we'll have that table here in a minute. And while Hubert grabs that table for us, question for Beetle Dude. Thoughts on having a UI that would allow players to see their sales history? The question was for pets, but I guess really it applies to heroes also. So, sales history, thoughts?
Thoughts, feelings. Yeah, I know previously there was a system in place. There were mistakes made. No, I'm just kidding. There was a system in place. It wasn't super accurate. I think it was reading the contract, just trying to read contract events, and did some different interactions would trigger it when it shouldn't have been. So I think what we really need is something in place with an API where all that information is kind of aggregated. So it would take a little bit of work, but I think it's valuable to have for obviously heroes and pets and really anything that can be sold in the game. So definitely something that we will want to bring back, but it will be a little bit of work on the API side to make sure that we have everything aggregated in an efficient way. So anyway, time will be the decider. But yeah, we can start making progress towards that for sure.
It's always time. Which I will just also plug Dr. Zipper's Hero Bot, which is fantastic. We do have like the pet sales channel and the hero sales channel, and or tavern sales, I think is actually what it's called. But those are a running log of all sales, but you can, if you're in our Discord, you can use the search bar, search for your name being mentioned in, for example, the pet sales channel, and it will show you all of your pet sales. So that is an option for now. No, it is not in game, but it does work. but just wanted to make sure people knew that that was an option as well. Let's see. Thoughts on having a kind of mini battle log on the battle screen. So, say the last 3 or 4 turns show there, and then you go into the full battle log for the full battle log.
Yeah, we had a little mini discussion about this question, and I think it's possible that we could add that to like the desktop version. We are kind of, I think we maybe mentioned it before, but we are in the midst of a soft UI rework. So we'll be making improvements to just that whole display as we go. So that might be something that we should take a look at as we're going through that. I guess the risk for that on that side of things is that it would just maybe get a little bit busy. But I understand wanting to see that info right away makes sense. So I think it's something that we can work on as we work through the UI. And then, obviously mobile will be a whole different story. But part of the biggest part of the UI is just making sure that we can kind of fit that experience in a mobile view. So yeah, it's a great question. And I think something that we'll keep in mind as we work through that.
Nice. Thank you, sir. Any plans to implement the ability to see potions in heroes' hands when they are drinking them?
We also had a discussion about this. Which it's possible. There's also the interaction where the hero is healing another of their allies, and I think eventually we might have potions that are thrown at enemies. So there's a lot of context that could go into what they're using and where they're using it and all that stuff. So it's just another time consideration. I made the comparison of like you can make all the animations like Red Dead Redemption, and it takes 5 minutes to drink a potion, and we cut to a cutscene of them drinking the potion. But right now, I think as far as like flow and functionality goes, we feel like it might be in an okay spot for now, and just have people suspend their disbelief for a minute, and then it can definitely be something on the list, but it probably won't be priority for a little while.
Most definitely. On the skill codex load screen, when picking abilities, would it be possible to have offensive stats and defensive stats? Currently, only defensive stats are shown as vitals, maybe 2 tabs to flip back and forth. Thoughts on that, Beetle?
Yeah. Is this the question about the attack
Yeah.
stats? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, that is due to be added. So just another portion of that kind of stat screen will be the specific equipment stats. Since at first those things were essentially hard coded to some extent with the challenge weapons that you're borrowing in the match. But now that we have all the fun gore weapons, we'll just need to pull that information from the API so we can display the correct numbers. So yep, I think that will be something that will get added. And I think Hubert mentioned something about just improving that view altogether, making it a little bit more clear what's happening. So those can kind of go hand in hand.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Would it be possible to allow potions, specifically stamina potions, to be applied to heroes in the team selection on the boar hunt? Zipper is actually working on that currently because he is fantastic. So, yeah, Zip's working on a couple things in terms of stam pots. I won't say too much, but that is one of them to try to make that a little bit of a easier and smoother experience. So stay tuned for more on that. Let's see. Beetle, you might know this one because I think Zipper was looking at it, if I remember right. A toggle for equipped and unequipped pets.
That's a good question. I know he's working on a lot of that stuff. I believe that's in place. I believe he was working on hero filters for which equipments are equipped. So I think pets would be included in that. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Zipper, for clarifying, confirming. So yeah, just another Zipper ad. Thank you, Zipper.
Nice. Thanks, Zip. I was hoping he might respond if you didn't remember, because I didn't remember either. Let's see. So, I'm gonna throw this one. I guess we'll start with Hubert, but anybody is welcome to chime in. There might be other thoughts there. It's kind of a general one. Thoughts on the health of the ecosystem, looking towards the future. Will gear items and other stuff that are added to the game dilute and take value away from existing assets, or would they be, adding utility to existing assets?
So, I guess if I'm understanding the thrust of the question, I guess with gear in particular, we do have the durability system in place, so that as gear is being used, it is going to start to degrade. I mean, it's not working yet, but once it is, that'll be kind of a mitigation against saturation of equipment. And we also have plans for like destroying equipment to get kind of broken down components that would be used as a part of crafting and in particular enchanting. So you'd use kind of the bones of your old weapons to improve the quality of your current ones. So we do kind of have that sort of system in mind, and also have other systems in mind just for trying to combat oversaturation of various things. So I think once we do have potions being something that have to be created and crafted by players to be used in combat, I think that's going to really close the loop on a big source of resource saturation, which is just from the profession quests. Now all those things will have much more utility as soon as that comes into place. So the goal is to kind of have the whole economy feed itself, and have as time goes forward, and depending on what people are doing and how players are using their different things, there will likely be different waves. Maybe someone made a whole bunch of potions, and now then people don't need to make more potions because there's a big supply. But once that gets eaten up, then it would kind of there'd be eddies and flows, I think, as the economy churns. So definitely that's something that we're constantly thinking about, something we talk about a lot in our tokenomics committee. I'm not sure if that completely answered the question, but hopefully that at least kind of gives a good idea of our mindset.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, my Discord froze for a second. Yes, thank you. Sorry, that really broke my brain for a second there. Appreciate the background, Hubert, and the thoughts that go into all of that. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll kick it over to Dreamer. Can we get an update on the market maker discussion and potential jewel listing? I believe the answer is no, because we can't say anything.
Hello. An update on that discussion for Jewel. I think it's the same as earlier this year. We've gotten a lot of guidance on listing after the 3-letter agency interests in both Binance and Coinbase, and seeing how FTX and everything kind of settles with all the other volatility in the world. So there's a couple interesting things happening right now. Not only identifying if certain tokens are securities, which I feel like that fight's going, that legal fight is going pretty well. Coinbase is putting a lot of money in that legal battle, and I'd be surprised if they don't win. So if they win that, then that's good. There's like an additional precedent of I guess proving in court that certain tokens in question are not securities. And then after that, I think you're looking at like the definition of exchanges, and centralized exchanges are getting targeted because they clearly fall into that. But we've also been given some guidance that it looks like definition of exchanges is being revisited, because so far like AMMs and even some clubs have fallen outside of that. And that may or may not change. Kind of depends on how this Coinbase battle and some of the others in the queue go. So we're watching and waiting. It would be really unfortunate if a number of listed tokens were identified by a 3-letter agency, and then we push really hard to list in a bear market and just get right on that list of interest. Doesn't really seem like that relative to the cost, relative to all of the focus that could pull us away from and resources away from building the game is worth it currently. So nobody's really encouraging us to hurry and go list on a major exchange, especially US based, which is kind of the focus anyway. We wanted to make it easier. Meanwhile, all of these on ramps are popping up, and Sunbear and Bolon and others are working really hard to connect with them. So making it easier to get access to DFK tokens is still in focus. The route of getting listed on a tier 1, tier 2 exchange, there's a lot of problems there that just don't seem like they are worth pushing past currently. So we gave that update a few times months back, haven't brought it up since. Thank you for asking it again. We haven't really changed our stance, which means our lawyers and others haven't really changed their stance. Watching and waiting. The other bit is, and this is pure speculation, a listing in a market like this that's followed by additional like scrutiny, where maybe somewhere we list gets a fine or a shutdown or something. In the world of centralized listings, once you've like volunteered for a listing and there's data and that data is bad, it makes follow-on listings very difficult. So you kind of have to time it so that your first listing is a successful one, because other exchanges may not want to support your token if there wasn't like significant attractive volumes and so on. So just not the right time, big risk, and focusing on elsewhere currently until the time is right.
Awesome. Thank you. That was a lot more than I thought we would be able to say. So appreciate the additional info. I think that'll be really helpful for folks. Let's see. Hubert, thoughts on a power up to help extend the length of equipment's durability?
Yeah, I do like power ups that do things like that. So that has been one that's been brought up before, and one that I think we would seriously consider once we get ready to turn the durability system on. So yeah, I think that's a good one, and we do have plans for other power ups as well tied to combat coming in the near-ish future. So, yep.
Awesome. Let's see. Can we look forward to color coding for things in skill descriptions and the battle log, like allies' HP being green, enemies' HP being red, etc., etc.?
This should be a me or Beta one, but I am a fan of color coding and making everything more clear as we go. So that is something we did a little bit of already, I think, with distinguishing between magic and physical attacks. But yeah, I think where there's room to do more, we should.
Thank you. Oh, Beetle.
I totally missed the question, so glad Hubert answered it.
Color coding. Color coding in the battle log and skill descriptions.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I think the battle log itself is a holdover from early days, so we could definitely improve on that in a lot of ways. Sure.
I also like color coding. Make it pretty. Let's see. So, on the topic of filters, could it be made so that heroes for sale are automatically sorted to the bottom when selecting heroes to quest? I think Zip has done that. it. I don't know if it's live yet, but I think he might have done it. Zipper, where are you? It's not live yet. Okay, but yes, it could. Let's see. What's the bonus range for the boar hunt equipments, Hubert? I know you've put out a couple of them, or at least one of them. Are they all out?
I have just been kind of saying, oh, you got this percent, then that's like the most common, or that's the third most common. So far I haven't seen the best one yet, so I'm kind of hesitant to say like what the full range is and what the chances are. Just to wait until the surprise happens. But I will say the most rare, like the most rare chance that you have on the weapons is like 0.05% chance for it to occur, and it's a fairly significant increase compared to all the other increases that occur. So whenever that does happen, it will be fairly special and unique and hard to come by version of that weapon. So once I do see it out, then yeah, I'll consider listing the whole everything for it though.
Nice. Yeah, there's definitely we don't want to put everything out there. We want y'all to find some stuff too. It's always fun. Let's see. Thoughts on a tavern filter tab for recessive class, subclass, etc. So the recessive genes, I guess.
We need a pine cone up here to answer this one. Yeah, I think it would just require additional filters on the API. I'm not sure how taxing that is to create. I know he's got indexing on a lot of that stuff. So yeah, it would just be another question. I think also when we get into recessive, we're also getting into some pretty tricky UI considerations, I guess, for just the sheer number of combinations you could like select and send. So a little bit of a technical problem, but something we could look into for sure.
Hubert, follow-up question to the previous question about taverns on people's lands and whatnot. Thoughts on taverns or other buildings for this matter needing to be supplied with materials to keep operations going?
That's an idea I love a lot. And maybe taking it a step further to say personnel as well to run the whole thing. So I do think there's a lot of opportunity there, and look forward to once we finally have that as our main focus. But yeah, there's just a couple big gameplay pieces that we need to have in place first before we can do it.
Let's see. So we've already announced our Halloween event for this year, but thoughts in the future on having hero zombie hunts happen around Halloween? So like the Dark Summoning Pit spews out some of the dead heroes before Hubert gets a chance to go. I'll just say that I'm obsessed with this idea. It's actually something I've thought would be really fun ever since we started having a way for heroes to die to where you have to face the heroes that you have killed. Hubert, thoughts?
We have ideas and plans for things, but I don't want to say more right now.
Nice, thank you. Let's see here. Anything we can learn about what may be contained in gold eggs?
As far as like what the pet appearances will be, yeah, I think we're gonna kind of keep that a little bit close. But I as far as like the way the eggs work, they will still have the ability, like the chance to get combat bonuses and crafting bonuses. It's just the like golden egg unique utility that is will be different from how profession eggs work. So yeah, I don't want to say too much more than that at the moment. It's something that also we haven't had it be a larger priority at the moment, as we're also waiting for us to get to a certain point in like gameplay before we have that out, just because some of the things that I want to have tied to those bonuses don't exist yet, and so it'd be a little bit premature at the moment. So
Cool. Follow-up question that you may or may not answer. There are 8 total crafting professions, 2 per egg for blue, green, yellow, and gray. Does that mean that gold eggs will potentially come out with their own crafting profession?
so all the crafting professions that will exist do exist already, as far as what you have on your heroes. So each of the eggs have their different specialties as far as like which they can show. Golden eggs will have their own unique way of working in that regard. But yeah, we'll have more to share once that's in place, or once we get closer to having that being released.
Nice. Thank you, thank you. Thoughts on having, for example, a black onyx rarity. Very, 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 very low drop rate and can only be obtained through dark summoning 2 mythics with other requirements as well. Like making it, a really like massive stretch goal, but a new level of rarity above mythic.
That's an interesting idea that makes my balanced brain hurt a lot thinking about it. But yeah, there's that would be a pretty big change to our overall system. So while I think it's interesting, I don't think that would be something that we would shift to doing anytime soon.
I could feel the headache coming on for you. Let's see. Thoughts on in the boar hunt. I think I actually passed this one on as a suggestion at some point too, from this. But thoughts on having a hover feature for like HP and MP bars.
Hovering for HP and MP bars. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Doing a really bad job of multitasking today. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. We do have it for the barrier HP bar, but there's no reason that we couldn't also add it just for the plain HP bar. So consider it done. I'm adding it to my list, and this one is actually my list, so I should be able to make it happen.
Nice. Yeah, I think that'll be a good quality of life improvement. And I mean, I'll just say in general, we've said it, I think every AMA since Boar Hunt went live, but this is the first. We mentioned earlier that we have a UI rework in the plans, but give us suggestions, give us feedback. Like that's the goal. So if you have ideas like that, please don't be shy. I'll just say the either the combat testing channel in Discord or the features request board on the talk.defykingdoms.com site would probably be the easiest, just to be able to keep track of them. But if you have them, you can also DM me. I don't care. If you have suggestions, give them to me because I want them, and we want them. So really appreciate the feedback and desire to help improve the experience. So with that, we are going to pause there for this week, and we will pick up next week where we have left off. As a reminder for anybody who's not here at the beginning, Beetledude will be on Mythic Squad's stream tonight. Winston Jazz Hands will be on on Christian Peters' stream Monday night. And then DAP Radar is hosting a space Tuesday morning that we will also be on. So make sure you tune in on all of our various places. As always, don't ape into broken mechanics. Y'all now get to see in real time that we will fix them if they are broken. So don't waste your time. But aside from that, any closing thoughts from anybody before we call it a day?
Man, I'll jump in here. I didn't have any updates today, but I just wanted to be a part of this since it's been a few weeks since I've been on, and there's just so much energy around the new gameplay. Obviously in the community, players, but hearing so much from partners, a lot of people reaching out lately because they're hearing about it or checking it out or trying to figure out how to beat the boars. So just a lot of excitement around that. Also around if you haven't been dark summoning for your spooky heroes, get in there. That's limited. Get those blue and green heroes going. Get those genetics into the system. Super fun. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun dark summoning. And I got it. I'm really excited. I want to reiterate what was said by multiple people, Dreamer and Bolon, about grinding the boar hunts. You grind now, and you'll get the rewards later. Some really cool stuff that I've heard and planning is coming out. So get grinding like I am, and happy Halloween.
Much appreciated, Sun Bear. Anybody else have any last thoughts? If not, I think we'll make Hubert give us a bullish. All right, Hubert, take it away.
Sounds like it's my turn. All right. Well, I always just channel Pinecone because he's always got the best bullish. So, bullish!
Bullish.
Bullish.
See y'all
Thanks,
next week.
everybody.
Bullish.
Delayed bullish.